here talking about music in Galveston specifically. And my first question for you guys is, what is the musical draw to Galveston? Like, you could be anywhere. There are several other music scenes around the state, around the region. What is the musical draw to Galveston?
I'll start. I mean, I think Galveston is like far and away one of the most talented like cities like I've ever been to. But I've been to Austin, I've been to Nashville, and yeah, there's crazy talented people there. But there's also like millions of people there too.
Yeah.
Like per capita, the amount of talented people that are like in Galveston, from Galveston, or chose to be here is just like insane. So I don't know if it's in the water, or if some people just like drive on 45 until the road ends, and then they just find themselves here.
Find themselves here.
So that's what
I also feel like it's a spirit. It's a sense of something that's always been here, because it's always has been here. It's like pulling from like the well. It's definitely inspiration. It's romanticism. It's architecture, music, food. It's everything that makes this island great, I believe, draws from a certain kind of spirit, artistic spirit. There's just for hundreds of years, people have come here, built up and down, just different structures, different things for people to witness and feel. And I think that just carries on generation to generation. And I think that's what draws a lot of people. It definitely drew me here. And I thank God for that every day.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have met all these fine people.
I agree. I think the spirit is a really good point. And a lot of us, still work additional full-time jobs. And, if I was living in a city trying to also be a musician on this, on the side and really make time for that, it'd be really hard, I think, to like immediately be in a space to be able to write and sing and perform. But here it's like whenever we walk out our door, we're like just in this magical place. It's like we always get to be on vacation where we live, which is amazing. You can go outside and see like incredible birds and nature and the ocean, and I feel like there's just so much inspiration like immediately when you walk out your door. And that can't be said a lot of times in places like the city of Austin or in the city in Houston, So I'm just really grateful for that, being able to switch that right
To
off.
pull that inspiration from your surroundings. I love that.
Change gears.
Does anybody want to add anything to that specifically?
I just like, it's interesting how many people you meet just around, if you're around the country or even outside of this country, that know Galveston. And I guess that just comes from the history. But yeah, maybe it's this deep well that we're all drawing from, and everyone is familiar with it, even if they're. There's so many songs. Yeah,
The ghosts. Just the
Wells
ghosts.
in
Yeah.
my memory.
The hauntings.
So you guys are starting to
Just
tap
recognize
into like the idea of this romantic feeling that Galveston kind of presents. Can you talk more about the music scene specifically? Like, what is the music scene like here in Galveston?
I think it's a mixture of all kinds of genres that I really enjoy to watch, because it's not just one thing you're witnessing. You're witnessing all genres from all fronts, all walks of life, all perceptions, and I think that's what's enjoyable, because you never know what you're going to hear when you walk out in the streets of Galveston. You can here's probably some of the best covers you've ever heard from somebody, or maybe some of the best originals that you've ever heard. It's just, there's a lot of different things, but that's the beauty of it, is that maybe something's not yours, but something else could be. It's all walks of life that anyone can walk to. That's what I feel like with the music out here, the music scene. And I think we're all special in our own way for it.
That's so sweet.
I'd be curious to hear, some more personal experiences. LYDA, can you talk more about that, being born and raised here? Has the music scene changed a lot since you were younger, or are you finding that you are kind of helped shaping the music scene in any way differently from what it was?
So going off what he just said, like there's like a huge variety of people, and it's really cool to like be from here and see who was cool like 15 years ago when I was learning how to play guitar, and the people that welcomed me on and kind of showed me the ropes and stuff, and I was like so insecure and like I don't know what to do, or I just want to sing and I don't know where to go. And to see those people kind of like move up and move on or move out or whatever, and then these new people come in, and then I'm like, oh cool, like they're playing at this place, they need to be there, like that's exactly where they should be. So it's kind of cool to see the variety. Like he said, there's all kinds of different genres and everything, and different people from different walks of life and different ages and everything. Like it's not just like one group of ages, which is cool, because usually like in the music you're either stuck with a bunch of 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds or people that have been doing it forever and they're like 65. But it's cool because it's like, I don't think anybody in here is probably the same age, to be honest. We're all different, so it's really cool. But
I'm 19 years old.
Just a baby, just a wee lass.
I've definitely seen it change. I mean, it's cool that it's
shady
becoming
one.
more of a music city, and for it to get the certified Music City of Texas, that was really cool last year to be able to experience that, and just to see it become like a bigger deal than just open mics or mod used to be like the only place you could play really. You've
For a
been here
coffee
long
tab.
enough, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for the coffee
For a
tab.
coffee tab.
It was like, you can play a mod, but it's already booked up, and here's a coffee. And I was
Oh,
like,
man.
oh, okay. But it was cool because that's all we had.
But that's such a good spot.
Yeah.
It's so
no,
good.
it's like, it's still cool. Mod was my first gig. It was the first
Yeah.
time I ever performed, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love Mod.
Shout out to Maud.
Yeah.
Anybody else first performance at Mod? No? Okay, I wasn't sure if we had a little kindled spirit here. First performance
I
at
love
Mod?
Oh
Mod.
my
Don't get me
gosh!
wrong,
No,
man.
my first performance is actually a really funny story. I moved down here in 2012, and I was a singer songwriter with just this other woman up in Rhode Island, and I moved here, and I didn't know really anybody, and Pete Hesher was like, "Hey, do you want to open for Punk Wednesdays at Riptide?" And
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, "You've never even heard me sing a note, and I play ukulele. You know that, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, you write your own stuff though. Come on down, let's do it."
Aw.
So it's called
And-
punk rock.
It was so fun, and everybody loved it, and we like totally just meshed. And I'm very much like kind of indie soul kind of vibe, but to open up for Punk Wednesdays at Riptide was hilarious and wild and so fun. And actually, he duct taped a microphone to one of those old dorm lamps from Target because they didn't have a second mic stand, and my bandmate needed a mic stand.
I love
So we have this great photo of that moment, and that's where Sean first saw me perform when we were friends.
Oh,
Yeah.
love at first sight, right?
Yeah.
So, and
Awesome.
another time, like shortly after we started playing, we got invited to play like a live radio station thing at the top of
What's now Stuttgarten.
Fuddruckers at the time.
Okay, yeah.
It was a
and
hip-hop
it was a
underground.
hip-hop radio show thing, and they asked us to play. And
That's
we
so
were
rad.
like, and it was like
We're like, "Are you
ukulele,
sure?"
glockenspiel, and an upright bass.
Chris Smith Gonzalez on
and
upright
we were
bass.
like, "Are you sure?" And they're like, "Yeah," and it was great.
People loved
and
it.
people loved it. And so for me, like I'm not really never been a musician. Like I've been a musician, but it was never my intention to perform music
Sorry, not sorry.
until I met her. But like I think this was the best place to do it because what I found is like a very it's like come as you are. Nobody really cares what you're playing in what context, or if you're like amazing, or if you're like fine, or if you're not good. Like everyone's just happy to
The
like
spirit.
hear art, and like you write your own stuff,
Sure.
like you're qualified.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
what I've
We'll
always
give it a
found
shot.
as like an introvert who was like very, very, very scared to play in front of people. It's just I don't know. It's never felt like bad.
You're gonna be like
or that
booed off
scary.
stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Benji, I'm curious to hear, where was your guys' first gig?
Our
Together?
first together. I mean, we played several times. My first gig ever, or my first time playing live, was open mic at Sharky's. Rest in peace.
Oh,
And
rest in
then
peace.
my first actual gig where I paid was
Rest in
at
peace.
Coolie Hut. Rest in peace. I think they're still around.
Still around.
It was where the Stone
Temporary
Captain sits
RP,
now. I
yeah.
guess that big old stage. I remember I played it with the Rush Poppers
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody knows them. It's Kevin Dodge, or what's his name? Sean Dodge and Jared Reed. But our first time
I
might
think
have
it
been at
also was
Sharky's.
Sharky's too.
Sharky's. We just had our first sidewalk session at Proletariat
Yes, I don't
Market this past Wednesday. So,
That's awesome.
well, yeah, we've played. It was within the past year, but it must have been like Sharky's or maybe the old Galveston club. Or
Yeah,
like,
he would always like call me up, and because I've only been performing live now for about a year, and he would like, come sing with me, because I always just remember we liked the same music a lot, and so he would invite me up to sing, and then eventually we wrote our first songs, and then now we're in a little duo together. So I think it was Sharky's and just getting me up there to finally just break through and start singing, and now just to bounce off of everyone else too. In terms, everyone's very supportive. Like whatever you do, like people will be there for it, and so many different sounds, it's all accepted, and so I'm just excited to be here. I feel like I'm definitely one of the newer ones, but it's been so much fun. So.
It's an island full of hype girls,
Yeah.
honestly. We're all just like hype girls for each other.
I love it. I love it. So, LYDA kind of alluded to it, but Galveston has recently been dubbed a music-friendly city. All of you working and playing music, working in the music industry, I'm curious what that means for you, how you feel Galveston being dubbed a music-friendly city, how that helps, and what you would like to see in the evolution of Galveston becoming this music-friendly city.
Who dubbed it a music city?
So it was
That's
dubbed a
good.
music-friendly city, Texas live music-friendly city through the Texas Governor's Office.
So Mr. Craig Abbott.
So nobody told the marshal.
They forgot
I wasn't
to
gonna be
tell.
the first to say it because I'm on their
They forgot to
blacklist.
tell
I'm on their
Marshall.
list.
Yeah, nobody told them yet.
So that is definitely a hot topic, right? Like, no one's told the marshal.
That's
So
what we're all thinking.
what are we finding that it is a music-friendly city, or we haven't hit that point yet? Friendly to musicians.
There's work to be done.
I think there's work to be done.
For
There's definitely
sure.
work to be
I think
done.
like right now, that only thing that brings is maybe a tourist label, like something to bring somebody who's not here. Because a big problem with Galveston is like, yeah, we have this great music scene. Everybody who's in it, and who like are around it, maybe not a musician, they know how great it is. But there's like, that's probably like maybe 5% of the population. Like the people who live here don't know how great it is, like how like much art there is here. And like they just go about their day and like they go and go to Houston or go to Austin and see all that
Go
stuff
do
where they can go
things.
literally just a couple blocks and see like
I think what the
just
label,
as talented people, if not better.
yeah, I think what the label is right now is just a stamp, basically, just like what he said, for tourists to just think about that when they're here. But it's really getting the city on board. Is really the journey of it, because just like what Benji said, it's just I don't think people truly notice just yet. They know it's there, but yet they don't know it's there.
So maybe this is kind of a new stamp that we've been given that the city and maybe the park board have yet to communicate to the rest of the nation, or maybe they're working on that. So if you had one thing you could say to the city or to the park board or the powers that be that help promote Galveston and live music, what would it be?
Make me a show.
Fund the music.
Fund
Be
the
my
music.
capital.
Give Austin a show.
Fund the
Yeah.
music and please don't punish street performers. Right
Yeah.
after
Yes.
that, right after that
Yes.
designation, someone
Yeah.
got ticketed
Yeah.
for
We-
playing
yeah.
very, very, very like reasonably and not blocking the sidewalk. And so it was really,
Will they get them for a vending license or something?
yeah, I don't even
They'll make
remember.
up stuff, man. They'll
But
make up
just
stuff on
by
the
like
spot.
with that designation and then immediately that happening, it's like okay, you can give it this label, but are you actually walking the walk, or do you really want to support musicians? And I think that like the venues we have here, the businesses like Mod and Proletariat and all these places that have been supporting us for a long time, they continue to show up. They continue to increase their wages for musicians and continue to support us. But when it comes to the city itself, there's still a lot of work to be done to like really, what does that mean to them, and how can they show up for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. Does anybody want to add anything to that?
I was thinking of an analogy, but like, so like the label Music City is kind of like this big fancy jacket, but there's like just a skeleton underneath that jacket,
Yeah.
so we need to fill it out. So that's kind of like,
It's
Yeah.
Ain't no meat to these bones.
but it's like, but
New band.
it's also the venues
Album cover.
that need to step up and that kind of communication. I think historically when I think of like a tourist city, like you think of like a lot of cover bands and cover music, and that's what I like about here is like everyone like in this room right now performs and writes original songs, and that's what I want Galveston to be more known for. It's like look at all this art around this room. Like we have our own.
You can only
original
find here.
material.
Yeah.
You gotta train
So-
your tourists to like stuff that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we throw
we're
them
island,
some
but we don't
covers.
want to just like play Jimmy Buffett all day long.
Some Jimmy Buffett video seminars.
I just want to say it's a perfect segue because my very next question I wanted to ask is how do you guys feel about cover bands versus original singer-songwriters? Like obviously we are a touristy island. We have people coming here from all over the world. Most of them have probably never heard of any of you guys. And they don't know to look for you when they get here, right? So we know that cover bands bring in people, but we also know that that's not sustainable, that people with any real taste are looking for something a little bit more in depth and a little bit more exciting and unique.
Maybe they keep
So-
people out.
So what I like to call it is that cover bands are the attraction. They're not the artists. You know what I'm saying? They're spewing other people's art, not their own. When there's a lot of musicians out here that are creating their own stuff and they're trying to get that out there, but sometimes it gets caught in the crossfire of what's needed to fill time for a lot of shows. So it's the label of cover band or artist, I think. The attraction or the artist itself.
I feel like also being like an original musician and sharing your own like music and stuff, you do have to sing popular covers to keep people engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily know that Galveston has too many cover bands, like a Pink Floyd tribute band that lives on 23rd and Market and they play only those albums, like I think it's very versatile. Like I'm pretty sure everybody in here plays cover songs and originals. And you just fill your set list with that, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody does.
You have to. Yeah.
So I feel like Galveston's it's not so much like divided like that, in my opinion. I don't know if there's cover bands that are
I feel like when I first moved here, it was like every
yeah.
band I saw was like a reggae cover band. And I was like, what's happening?
So they just
But
sing
I feel
like a
like
bunch
that
of
has
cover songs.
But I feel like that has actually changed over time
Yeah.
where
It's still
people are
gradually
more like,
changing.
no, I'm going to play what I wrote,
Yeah.
and people want to hear it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think the more of
Yeah.
us that sprout up, we inspire that idea.
Yeah.
So a lot of these bands who were cover bands, they want to be original bands now.
Or maybe they didn't have, they
Maybe,
didn't have the courage
they
to be
didn't
like,
have the
nobody's going to
material,
like
they
what
didn't
I
have
want
enough
to say.
material to do
Nobody's going to like my stuff,
Maybe-
so I'm not going to show that.
Yeah, but
It is extremely vulnerable,
Yeah.
as we all know,
Mhm.
putting a new song you wrote out there into the world versus something someone else wrote.
True.
So sometimes I think maybe people who are singer-songwriters might even hide under that because they're not really
I think they're working it up.
confident
They're
enough,
working it up
yeah.
towards that,
Yeah,
a lot of the
but I agree with
times.
LYDA. I think it's not necessarily a divide like you might see in a lot of other places, and I think that's great. We can all mix it in, and a lot of us like to play like real not well-known covers where like you don't know this, like a band from
Yes.
Austin.
I play some
Yeah.
obscure
I
stuff
love to
too.
cover
I
a
mean,
band from
like-
Austin. It's like you wouldn't
Have to be
know
in the
that.
know to know.
Yeah. Don't tell ASCAP.
You like Roger Miller? Who's that?
So, DJ Xyla, I'm curious, can you give us a few places that you've played that maybe are more music friendly, that have accepted you and allowed you to come in with your equipment and not given you any sort of trouble as you're loading in or loading
Yeah,
out?
and that is my DJ name, everyone, Xyla.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think like DJing is kind of like, it's like a different beast than what a lot of y'all are experiencing, but it is similar in the way of like what I've found is Galveston, like the kind of music I want to play is just, there's not really any of it here. My style is like dark melodic techno mainly, mixed with like classical and opera music. Like
Ooh.
it's very
I
dark.
drink coffee.
We all want to hear
Yeah.
that.
I drink coffee at 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, it's a very like dark romantic kind of vibe. So like what you were saying, like that kind of the romanticism of this island and the
That
history
gothic,
and everything.
that southern
Gothic.
gothic.
Yeah, I'm very into that. So my style actually kind of does go with Galveston, I think, but I think it's kind
I
of
want
hard
to
to
hear it in the
find.
cemetery.
Yes, I've
Yes.
literally done like stuff in cemeteries.
Wheels are turning.
We
Yeah.
all
And
have.
Xyla's
Yeah.
responsible
We
for
all
that
know.
Victorian rave. I don't know if anybody went to that Victorian rave a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
I did.
She put that on.
I had
Oh,
a
Victorian?
Ashton Villa, yeah.
yeah, I had a Victorian techno rave at Ashton Villa.
Cool.
Let's
yeah.
do that again.
Where we had, it was
Ooh,
fun.
man.
I had like
I don't
had
think I have
like
enough
about like
costume for
30
that.
different local performers from Galveston and Houston, like musicians, DJs, dancers, fire spinners, painters.
Oh man, that
I
sounds
must have
awesome.
time for this.
Sounds like a freaking
It was
circus.
fun.
I love
It was fun, and I DJ'd. That was one of the first times I DJ'd with live musicians. Like I had an opera singer, a violinist, a cellist, and a flutist, and we were all like playing together. And yeah, it was really fun.
Wow.
It was very fun.
And Ashton Villa allowed you to put that on and didn't give
Yes.
her too much hassle.
They
So I'm
didn't.
curious, what other
Yeah.
venues are you working with that are being more friendly to the musician?
So, like, Sophia and Sarah with, like, the Galveston Arts Center, they do,
Okay.
like, Art Week and all of them. I've done a good amount of events with them, and I love working with them because they'll hire me for stuff. They're like, okay, we kind of have this vision of what we want for this event. And we're going to, like, tell you what the vision is, maybe give you, like, a few, like, maybe this kind of genre, maybe that kind of genre, but they kind of just let me take the reins and like do what I want. I just did an event with them like 2 weeks ago that was like an art car showcase, a lot of local shops and everything set up, and then the River Oak String Quartet played later in the night as well, and I really got to just kind of do what I wanted with that, which was really fun. That's my preferred kind of thing, obviously, when I can kind of take the creative reins on it. So I'd say stuff like that, like with Art Week and a lot of Becky
Becky Major,
Becky
with the
Major.
Proletariat.
Yeah, with her, of course, she's amazing. A lot of the local people who are also artists themselves, I think they're gonna be the most friendly towards,
Okay.
which makes sense, you know, like they have experience with creating and trying to, you know, get their art out there in whatever way that is. And so they are much more friendly to kind of like, okay, what is it that you're wanting to express with what you do? And yeah, because I've had some bad experience with like mob bar. Don't even
start on mob bar.
Yeah, and like some things like that. In Houston too, like different like bar owners who are more like less like I'm interested in what you have to express and more like I want this very specific thing, and you're a DJ, so you can like play this.
Can you
And
play
I'm
Funky Town?
like you should do this, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not really like my style.
You're like,
you
this
know,
isn't a wedding gig.
I'm like that's
Cure records.
yeah. I'm like you know, like if you're hiring me to come play, I want to play like more my style.
Not playing Freebird.
Yeah. And that's been a hard thing too. With I've gone around to some different places around Galveston, like Float and just some other bars, and kind of been like, hey, do you guys like, are you interested in like having a DJ? And some of them will have like college nights, different things like that. And they're like, oh yeah, like we want to have a DJ, but only if you play like top 40s or whatever. I'm like,
So jukebox, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm like,
You're like Spotify.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
I can show you a good online website
and
for
that's-
jukeboxes.
that is a
Hire a
problem. That is a big problem with like a lot of places, like the look of having a DJ, but they don't want you to actually like
Be a DJ?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Truly. So can anybody else speak to some music-friendly venues that are allowing you to play your original music in the way that you want to?
Uh-huh.
Hotel Lucene, 1877. There's a couple of others. There's OGC, Old Galveston Club.
Okay.
That's a good one. That's where
Obviously,
we like to go
Old
sometime.
Quarter wants you to
Old
play your
Quarter.
stuff.
Absolutely.
I want to give another shout out to Becky Major and the Misfits group because we just played their masquerade ball before Mardi Gras.
Fun.
And Becky and Erica were like, yeah, you know, like, we trust y'all. You're creatives. Like, we want to see what you have to do. We didn't even have to show them a set list for this ball. And I was like, do you want to see what we're going to play? She's like, oh, yeah, actually, I'm really excited. Like, but she was like, you know, they didn't require us to be a certain way. They saw us, and I think you nailed it with other creatives leading creative works, which is why we appreciate you so much as well, is, you know, having creatives in the driver's seat and being the people that can set these up for us and support us totally makes a difference because they get it and they see you. And so I just want to shout out for the Misfits group and Marmo starting to have more live performances and Eric over there supporting us.
Amen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that Comes to My Dead Person was a good show.
Oh yeah,
So good.
Oh, that was so good. That was
Such a
so
good
fun. And then I get to find I was on the magazine that day. I'm like, woo! It's all happening, man.
It's all happening.
Yeah.
You're what we call island famous.
Oh,
Wow.
island drunk famous, maybe.
So anybody else want to add to any other venues that we may have missed?
DTO, I guess maybe.
DTO.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Daiquiri timeout, man. That's the good one.
So what about Indies? Has anybody played at Indies yet? That's
Yes,
a good place.
Indies is a
Yeah,
great
I forgot,
bar.
yeah.
Okay.
It's a
Brandon's
great
cool.
place.
Brandon's a little
Yep.
coffee shop.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, Brandon's
they're
Brandon's
amazing.
great up there.
I played there on March 1st, and
Okay.
they're a really good group of people.
It smells so good.
Yeah,
It
the whole
smells
time?
so good.
They
love
love
that.
the originals. They want you to play like almost all originals.
Well, they're like
so.
this. Well, we make our own original coffee. We make original
Yeah,
songs to
original
go with
vibes
it, you know?
all the way around.
I love that. They're starting to live stream it too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
They're starting to do that now.
Okay.
Live stream.
Very cool. Yeah, anyway, we can get the word out, right? Let people know what's going on here.
I mean, local businesses, man. Commerce, bro.
That's what it's all about, commerce. All right, guys, so I'll tie it all up in a pretty bow and just ask you all to let us know what was your most memorable or favorite performance here in Galveston that you've ever played? Anybody want to lead that one off? Deep
I'll go ahead. I need
contemplative
time to
thought.
think, you know. I need time
I mean,
to think.
I can start. My first gig at Mod, like I was so excited for that, and every seat was filled, and I was like 17, never played my originals before, like it was like a first for me. And 17, I'm 31 now, so it's been a minute.
Nice.
But yeah, I was out there
Like a
playing,
fine line.
and I was so scared. Like I cried afterwards, and I said I never wanted to do it again until I went back and looked at the pictures that like people had taken and tagged me in or sent me videos and stuff, and like people were listening and they really liked it. I'm like, why was I so sick? Like it was just like nerve wracking sharing my own music for the first time. And so yeah, that's my most memorable gig, because without that I wouldn't have continued to grow and do all the things I've done so far. So shout out to Mod again.
Heck yeah.
I think the most memorable for me so far would have to be the Sandcastle Festival I did this past year or last year there. because one, that was probably one of the biggest crowds that I ever performed in front of on a live setting, and it was a hot day, and I drank a lot before that night. I'm guilty of, but I still nailed it for some reason. I don't know how. I did it. Just poured out of me that way, but it was definitely one of the most memorable, successful things I ever can think about me doing in live music terms for a lot of people. It was so amazing. It was like the spirit of just singer-songwriter just like prevented me from puking my guts out, which I did later on that day, like after the fact. But it just like held in. You're like, you got this, man. You got this. I did it. And it was so great, and I'm so thankful for that every day. I guess that's why I love this island just as much, because it's building bigger and better memories for me.
So next time I'll hold your hair for you.
Thank you. Please God. Yeah, because that was horrible. I had to clean up the restroom and everything after it.
Good on you.
That shower and that toilet.
Yeah, thanks for cleaning that up. That's great. Anybody else have any great memories that they want to add?
On the island for sure. Probably like played the Shrimp Fest a couple times. I remember one year specifically it was pretty fun. It was like a really good crowd, and had my band and stuff. So, but I do think my favorite show is gonna come in May when we do LYDA. So I think that's
there it is. That's gonna be the next step, baby.
All right.
One of our first shows, it was. This is like the Proletariat. Quite possibly their first show.
Oh, before
ever.
they were a venue at all.
Okay.
So this is before they were open. It was still under construction, and we had one of Sasha's friends from Rhode Island was coming through on their way to South by Southwest, and wanted to stop. We convinced them to stop and like play a show.
Like Galveston, why?
And this is like probably early on when we had first met Becky, and she like just made it happen. Pulled in like extension cords
from the lofts. This is before Proletariat was going to be even.
Oh wow.
Put up construction spotlights and stuff, and we just had it like super, just
open the
makeshift
doors,
show. So we opened for our friend's band.
Roz Raskin, who's now under Nova One. If you ever see them touring.
Cool.
And keep on trying to get them to come back here.
I know.
But they're too big now. But it was just like, I don't know, it was early on in me performing, and it just showed the spirit of Galveston, as we talked about, where Becky was like we're gonna make this happen even though we don't have power.
Yeah.
Like we'll put on a live show.
She just opened the doors and people just like came in from the streets and like, what's going on in there? And that's so Galveston.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was a super, super great, memorable one. I just wanted to note that like the gig we just played at Marmo, the Masquerade Ball, was like super fun and special because these guys have been playing with us for a bit now, probably like a year now. And so we got to have a full band. We even got a drummer for the first time for me, like really playing like a full band. And Mary Ruth was doing aerial silks and burlesque and to live music, which is something that's super special and nobody really does, but we've done it now for a few gigs. And having that artistry happening at the same time as our art is super special to see it all come together and have this like beautiful chemistry. And I got to play some really fun covers in addition to our originals in that space. Got to do some rock and roll. And we're playing Misfits Ball now in October 18th. So having those things come together and like two really different pieces of art, art styles here in Galveston that are unique, I think was really cool. And again, being a hype girl for Mary Ruth, doing that crazy stuff.
I'm sorry I missed it. I mean, I heard
Misfits Ball. Put it on your calendar.
Next year.
Yeah, we're getting wild. It was a great, weird time. October 18th, yeah.
What about you, Walker? What was your most memorable?
Oh, I was thinking back to it was like a main stage Mardi Gras thing, but it was like the first year we did it, and I think it was like 2012, so this is dated. But I remember like going up and we were playing, and there's like people, but they were all kind of, it was at Sanger Fest, like they had the stage, but everyone was kind of like backed away from the stage. And then like, midway through maybe the second or third song, everyone just filtered up to the stage. And just to have that moment, it was like your hair stands up. You're like, whoa, this is so nice. And it's just
a warm feeling.
That affirmation that you get, when you're on a big stage, it's really cool.
Yeah,
warms the heart.
So warm.
Yeah, natural.
Yeah, and I think me and you were talking about this last week. I feel like Galveston's a really cool place where it's kind of like you can sort of create ideas that maybe you couldn't do in other places. It feels like there's more free reign here. Yeah. And like the ball that I did, I mean, the Historical Foundation, I was not sure they were going to go for that. I was like, yeah, I want to bring fire spinners to this, 1800s.
They're like that.
It's like, wait a minute, fire mansion? Fire?
Yeah.
Well, it's like put his hat on. He's like,
Yeah.
200-year-old Woodburn?
Yeah. And like, everything I said, they were like, that sounds cool. And I'm like, okay.
it's pretty close to the fire station. We're all right.
Yeah. So I
Across
mean,
the
like that
street.
kind of thing, I'm like, that's really cool because a lot of places like that would take like so long to be able to do anything like that because you'd have to jump through so many hoops and everything. And just so many people I've met here too is like, hey, I have this like really weird idea, and I'll tell them, and they're like, yeah, like okay, let's try it. I don't know, like sounds cool. So I really love that, and that's why I'm excited to kind of like do more creative things here and try to host more events here and just kind of see what happens.
We're a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I'm a weirdo. I fit in here really well, so love it.
Well, you guarantee we'll be there.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
Anybody else want to throw in any memorable moments?
I'll add. I always enjoyed, for years we would play on a balcony around the corner of N and 25th during the Mardi Gras parades. We'd set up everything on the top of it, and we'd play in between the marching bands, eat, hang out. But it was always nice. The crowds were there, and it's not contrived. It's not like you're trying to force people to come see a thing.
Please
It
like
was
me.
there, and yeah, the air was always around, and it felt good. So again, there's a good house party scene.
Yeah.
Like to stay with it and pay attention to
I like to tell
it.
people
Stay
that
out of trouble.
Galveston is like the Wild West
Stay
of coastal
indoors.
communities. Anything
Yeah.
goes, and it's all kind of gunslinging up in the air. So thank you all for being a part of that. I really appreciate everything that everybody's doing to bring more culture and excitement and music to the island. It means a lot to me personally. I've been here for 15 years, and this is part of the reason why I came and made Galveston my home. It's a part of the reason why I made the magazine happen, because I wanted to see something for us, by us, things that we would actually want to read about and partake in, and activities that we would be excited to invite our friends and family to. So you guys are making that happen, and I really appreciate that.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Cheers to
much.
culture.
I couldn't do it
clash.
without y'all, so thank y'all so much.